Buon tardi, everyone. I'll start with sharing my screen. Okay, we're going to talk about reduce cost and boost business efficiency. I'm going to give it a special twist with a turning waste into opportunity, Curaçao circular future. If you have any questions during the session, please, as the lady already mentioned, put it in the Q&A. I'm getting an echo here. Just let me know if someone else hears that as well, so I can change that.
Yes, you can still hear it.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, I had a tablet open. I have three screens in front of me, so you'll see me look to the left and right occasionally, and that's just for me to get all the information that we are gonna share during this webinar. Let me first start with introducing myself for the ones that don't know me. My name is Andrew. Andy Kirchner. I'm a social entrepreneur who helps people and organizations navigate sustainability using the SDGs as a compass. I basically worked myself up from a wheelchair to become a social entrepreneur. I've been an ecosystem facilitator for Collectivo, creating a regenerative economy on Curaçao, and then as an ecosystem facilitator for Club 17, collecting over 500, almost 600 SDG initiatives on the island. And last year we won the Circular Innovation Award 2024 with the Club 17 SDG Tracker app. And based on all that knowledge and information, I'm going to share the following presentation with you. The presentation is built in three blocks, the basics, just for the ones that don't know that much about circular economy. Two, a look at the local examples, because there are so many things going on here on the island that we often don't know about or don't recognize as business efficiency or as circular economy, but that that contribute to it. And of course, what can you do? And I think that's very important for all of us, especially when we're in business. Let's first start with the basics. What is a circular economy? A circular economy is a system based on the reuse and regeneration of materials or products, especially as a means of continuing production in a sustainable or environmental friendly way. We're going to look at that in a different sheet in a little bit, but basically what that means is that from production to consumption, instead of it ending its life there, we give it several lives before it either goes to waste or maybe it can continue in the circle forever. That would be the ideal situation. But we don't deal with fairy tales, so we're going to look at it in a very honest way. Now, what we have right now is mostly a linear economy. We produce things, we buy things, we use them, and we toss them away. The last couple of decades, we see that there is more and more of a recycle economy where we reuse things. We produce, we buy, we use, reuse. And especially here on the island, you can see that if you look at our ancestors, that was a lot more than on the mainlands in Europe and in America, because everything needs to be imported or exported here on the island. So things tend to be reused often. Now, with circular economy, we're going to take a deeper look into that on how we can make that even more efficient. But first, let's dive a little bit deeper into what the impact economists say. The circular economy often brings certain discussion of people that believe in it and people that don't believe in it. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the wording that is used during a circular economy conversation. Let me read what the impact economists have said. The theory goes that in a circular economy, we can eliminate waste and promote economic growth using the least amount of natural resources possible. Given that a radical rethink of consumerism and the reshaping of global supply chains, building a circular economy is proving fiendishly difficult. Now, there is one word that I use in here that makes it very difficult to look at a circular economy the way it's intended, and that's eliminate waste. A circular economy is not created to eliminate waste, but to reduce waste. So you can see in this slide, I marked it with red and the left as well in the bottom to make sure that we are when we go through this presentation and through this webinar, that we think about reducing waste and boosting efficiency, lowering cost and boosting efficiency. If we can eliminate waste, that is, of course, an extra win, but that is not always possible. So if we look back at the slide that we previously had with the linear economy, the reuse economy, we take a look at the circular economy. What we basically need to do is a redesign to build. So when we build our business, when we look into what we use for a business and how we are going to do business, we need to redesign that from the more you do that from the beginning, the easier you make it for yourself to reduce waste, to boost efficiency, and hopefully also reduce cost, because that is very important for all of us. Now, why is this important to me, but also to you? I hope you read this as me for yourself. Why is this important? Well, as I already mentioned, here on this island, we need to import everything and we need to export everything. That already makes life of the cost of living more expensive. It also makes it sometimes more difficult to receive certain products or materials. So if we reduce the waste, we have more local materials to work with. I see this often with mechanics on the island that work on cars. They know very well how to reuse car parts till the last thread. And we should implement that in almost every business. And that goes from organic waste that can be used in the garden or for animal food to plastic that can be reused, recycled, paper that, well, we can do something with that here on the island, but we can export that and with that make some extra cash here on the island and so forth. There is a lot of work in the recycling industry. We don't really give it that much credit because we're all looking to expand our businesses more instead of seeing how we can improve things with the things that we have. But the less waste we have in the landfill and the more we can reuse it, the more jobs we're going to create here on this island as well. And with that, we're also going to be less dependent on imports. Now we're going to come to my favorite part, and that is looking more at what is already happening here on the island. One of my favorite examples is the tourism industry. There's so much going on in tourism industry. It's one of the biggest industries here on the island, and I chose Chicago this year to use for this example, especially because I did a scan with them. So I know a little bit more of them, but it's not just about Chicago. Avila does a lot as well. Corendon does a lot as well. There are many of these hotels that are really making an effort to boost their business efficiency and lower the cost. But I took this one for example, because with Chicago, you can see they did it from the ground up. When you look at the picture in the back, you see the beautiful park, but what you can see is what's underground. And what's underground is that they started from the beginning, they started building the park. They started already with septic tanks underneath the park. So the water that's been used to water all the trees in the park is basically done with the water that comes from all the apartments. That is already a big cost-saving method and also contributes a lot to a circular economy and also lowers the impact that it has on the environment because you keep reusing water instead of using fresh water. This water that is being used under premises is being filtered under premises as well. So the septic tank that's been built has been built in such a way that it is filtered right under the ground. I can't exactly explain because I'm not an expert in it, but for the drawings that I've seen, it's a very impressive system that's commonly used. So it's not a very expensive system. It's something that almost everyone can do that is willing and able to invest in a simple, I'm making quotation marks here, in a simple septic system. Another thing that you can see from this park is that, of course, there's going to be a lot of electrical use on the park, not just the buildings, but also all the lighting around the premises. And to make sure that that is as cost effective as possible, they installed a solar carport. You can see that in the left, in the bottom of your screen. The solar carport has 400 panels, which creates a 451 watts, which basically lights the whole park during the day. So at night, they still have to go on grid and use Aqualecta's electricity, but during the day, they can basically go completely off grid. And what's so amazing about this is that not only are all their service cards also working on electricity, they also rent out electrical cars, in that case, to also um, use green energy. So it's a great system to see how this circular system works, and in this way they reduce their cost with electricity, but they also boost their efficiency all around the park. So not just for one office or one building, but from the rental bungalows to the rental cars, to the service cars, and so on. Another great thing that you can see, that you can't immediately see about this park, but during my research I found out, is that they use a specific paint, a mineral paint that protects the building against corrosions, that helps the building stay, and also helps the building to have an ecological paint on it. So it breaks down back in nature once it breaks down. It's not the cheapest paint, so it's not that accessible to everyone, but it's a very good investment if you're gonna invest in something to use a paint like that. It's got a guarantee for a 10 years to stay well on your building. So that is a good use in a circular economy to lower the waste and to improve your efficiency. What else is very important about what you're seeing right here is that most of these plants that you see around the park have all been built in their own nursery. So from the moment the park was built, they started with their own nursery in that case to make sure that, one, they can keep the plants alive, that they know that they're going to work well. And what's also very important is that they don't use too much water. As you can see, there is a lot of green around the park, and there is a very good combination between the bungalows, keeping the green, and in that way lower um, the heat of the sun on the park together with the paint, and then lowering the electricity bill with the solar panels. So there you can see different usages that are helping to keep the cost low and improve the efficiency. One of the most important things that we have on this island that we talk about with circular economy is, of course, recycling. Chicago has been a trendsetter with that from, if I believe, if I'm saying it correctly, since 2014, they have had recycle bins all around the park. The ones that you see here are at the lobby, but all around the park there are special collection bins for plastic, so people can sort their plastics. So once you walk out of your bungalow, within a few feet, there are a few meters, there is a recycle bin where you can leave your plastics. These plastics are being collected by Greenforce, and Greenforce exports the plastics or sells them to local producers of artifacts, basically souvenirs. As you can see, these are a lot of contributions to a circular economy, and It was never the intention of Chigogo to be a circular business, but they wanted to do their business as right as possible. And this is a beautiful example how many more buildings or many more hotels and parks can do this. Now, to just mention a few other possibilities and other things that are happening on the island, there are also hotels that are having their solar panels on the roofs of the buildings, of course. They're using different paints to keep the buildings cool. They're using green paint to attract a more natural feeling. These are not immediately things that you think about in a circular economy way, but they do help with people think and feel more in a natural environment. One of the most beautiful examples of that is Avla Hotel that installed plants in their walls, and in that way give that natural feeling when you visit the park. Now, let's take a look at one of my other favorite examples, and that's Limpy Recycling, probably well known with many of you. Limpy Recycling uses certain plastics, not all. If I'm correct, they use HDPE, plastic number 2 and plastic number 5, to create their art and functional art, I would say. And as you can see in the left side, those are mostly bottles from detergents, but also lids from the famous soft drinks that they use to make different products. They have a visitor center now in Sambil where you can go visit them and where you can look through a glass window on what they exactly do. But I also want to dive a little bit deeper into the business opportunities that are in this. I've been following Limpy since the day they started and listened to a conversation of what people thought about if it was possible and if recycling was feasible here on the island to create a business out of it. And there were some believers and some non-believers. And I'm very happy that the people of Limpy really believed in themselves and what they tried to do. They started small, and they really built something that right now has many international collaborations. To give a good example, in collaboration with the Curaçao Tourism Board, the football club Ajax, and Sandals, they have future goals in which they create goals, soccer goals, football goals that go to schools as a sponsorship deal from Sandals, where schools can have goals on their schoolyard to play with. Those goals are made from recycled plastic. As you can see, the lady Deborah in the screen cutting fishing nets that normally would go to waste to create the goals with it. So that shows you that certain things that go to waste that can be not just reused once, but can be reused on a daily basis can benefit us all. Now, not everyone, of course, has the opportunities that Limpy has because they have studied design, they have really a passion for it. But there are things that you can learn from just the way they think. So when you look at these small businesses and bigger businesses, don't just look like, hey, I can't do that, but think also what you can learn from that. Sometimes you can be the middle man or a woman. Sometimes you can be the middle business that can help a business like Limpy get a better product, a cleaner product. Sometimes you can be the business that gives a business like Limpy a better service so they can do their business better. A circular economy is not just about what you are capable of doing, but sometimes of the service that you can lend a hand so a circular business can give a better service. And with that, we're going to the next screen, which is one of my other favorite businesses here on the island, and that is Green Phoenix. Green Phoenix started out also as a recycling business, but they have developed in a different way over the years. And instead of creating the same things that Limpy has been doing, they have become an excellent middle organization to help a business like Green Phoenix or a Green Force to get better plastic here on the island. As you can see on the left picture, they have created a great educational incentives by doing cleanups. With that cleanup, they get a lot of plastic. That plastic can be used not just for the educational purposes, but can also be sold, resold, or can be reused by a company like Limpi Recycling. What is great about this is that they have managed to create, again, international collaborations with, I can't remember the exact name right now. It's a French organization that funded Limpi for a few years so they could create a social impact program together with SOW, Desarrollo Social y Labor y Bienestar. So they could give people with a distance to the labor market a chance to find their way. These people are excellent to sort their plastic, and they are very proud to do what they'll be doing. And that resulted in a beautiful chain reaction. On the left side, you see a gentleman standing with his thumb up, a very proud gentleman that works right now at Morena Resort. The picture that you're seeing right there are the recycle collection points at Morena Resort. And that plastic is picked up by Green Phoenix, then sorted at Green Phoenix, and from there it's dispersed to several other recycling organizations here on the island. The sorting of the plastic is being done by people that are part of the social impact program by Green Phoenix. And from there, they have the chance to find a different job or a better job. It's a different way of looking at the circular economy, but that's just as important, the social impact of it. Because of that, this gentleman that you see there on your right hand now has a job at Morena Resort, and there are a few that grew from there already into their next jobs around the island. Now, not just that, we're going in the middle of the picture. You can also see the team there from Green Phoenix, picture with me in it. I gave a workshop for Green Phoenix, but there are also students in there that came to Curacao to do research with Green Phoenix to give Green Phoenix advice. So you can see a little bit of the circular economy right now already. We just talked about a Chicago resort that collects their plastic, that makes sure that they reuse their gray water. They make sure that they have access to the labor market. Limpi Recycling uses the plastic that comes from Shogogo Resort and from Morena Resort and from Green Phoenix to create several products out of it that you can find back again in these projects. But there is a lot more going on. Well, before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about what you can do as well, because there are many examples what you can do and that are happening at the organizations that we just discussed. Now, what you can do is, of course, limited to the business that you're working in. So I'm taking this very general, and it's up to you to pick pick up the advice that you can use for your benefit. But to begin with, the use of natural products. You can use that as much as possible, and you can take that in a very broad way of things. The use of natural products is not just the kalbas that you can see in the background of your picture, but also the soaps that you use, also the shampoo that you use. You can choose that to use the desks that you buy, or the plates that you use. You can take that as far as you want. We often go to shops where you can buy as cheap as possible products and buy plastic cups, but instead of that, maybe take a look at a little bit higher quality of costs of products that you can use a longer period of time, and that also give you a higher value of life. Saying that, think about using recyclable materials or products. Often we think about, when we're talking about sustainability, we also we think about, yeah, we need to recycle, but it always starts with what products do you buy, or even better, what products do you design? If you can think of your business already from the design part of it on what you're going to create, it's going to help with creating or using a recyclable material. If you can't and you already have a business, think about how that material can be recycled, either by yourself or by someone else here on the island, by another business here on the island, or if really necessary, of a business off the island. Now, one of the things that I get asked often when I work with students, yeah, if I'm going to start a business in recycling, what should I think about? Think about using products or materials that are less wanted. There are already a few recycling businesses on the island that work with plastic, but there are not enough that work with glass. There are not enough that work with batteries. There are not enough that work with wood. So there are many opportunities there to look at materials that are less wanted. One of the very important ones that I think we are lacking on the island is e-waste. There is so much to be done with e-waste. So whether you are looking to start a business or you're already on the way, think about what you can do with e-waste. Either implement it in your business or start a new business with it, because I think there's a good money to be made there, either in the future, but at least long term, because we're going to be using more and more e-products. And with e-products, I'm meaning electronic products. And that's monitors, computers, tablets, phones, earbuds, you name it. It's got many rare earth minerals, materials in it that maybe you cannot recycle here on the island, but that you can collect to export. Let's take a look at the next one. Use locally available products of goods. As I already mentioned, we import everything on the island. So you can also take a good look at what's already available, and to either reuse that or benefit from that. A very good example is a company that refills ink containers here on the island. In containers, I mean the cartridges for printers. As you can see, I already put a picture of a printer. We're going to revisit that in a little bit. But that is a very good example that fits also in a circular economy. Cartridges for a printer are often used once and then thrown away because they can't be properly recycled. One, because of the plastic, two, because of the chips that are in it, but they can be refilled. So that's a very good example. Another good one, I've added a picture of some glass jars on your left side. Something that we don't have a lot here on the island is statiegeld. For the people that lived in the Netherlands or in Europe, they are very well known with this scheme. And it's a product deposit for reuse. Now, you can do that eternally. As you can see with these jars on your left, the lids at a certain point start to rust or start to get ugly. So I can understand that you can't do that eternally here on the island, but you can do that as much as possible. And what the Nut House, for example, does is very great. One, they offer a natural product for you to buy and to eat. So that's already very good for sustainability. But then you can also pay a deposit for the container that you are going to take with you. And once you return it, you get your money back. I know several people that have this for their products here on the island, several small businesses, but we really need to make that more of a regular thing. So if you can do that in your business, that can give your business an added value, can also give your business an added trust. So people will prefer to do business with you because they see the extra effort you can put in it. Of course, what I already said a little bit is choosing materials or products that can be reused. With the glass jars that I just mentioned, you can reuse them often, not as often as we would like because of the lids, but you can reuse them either for the store, and if you cannot use them, reuse them for the store. You can reuse them at home for your own food. And if you cannot reuse them for that anymore, you can still reuse them for pots and plants and things like that. Now, if there's something else that you want to create a business with, also consider starting a recycling business with glass here on the island. There are several that are trying or that are experimenting with it, but I do believe there is a big market that you can create building material out of glass. It's going to cost an investment, but it is a possibility. If you look deeper into the picture, I use several other examples that you can use for yourself. In the background, let's go first completely to the back, and then we're going to work to the front a little bit. I'm going to save the best for last. In the background, you see the gentleman from Green Force with his batteries that he collects and exports. Those cannot be recycled here on the island, but they can be exported. And that is a very good business, because when he started, no one was doing that. And I think that is a very good way of looking what is locally available, choosing a product that is recyclable, maybe not on the island, but can be recycled externally. And he made a good business case of that. Another thing is pallets. Everything here on the island that is important comes in on pallets. And there are many people that have tried to create things with pallets. And it's a good business case when you have the time and the skills. But we don't always have to think that far. You can also use the pallets for yourself for when we have rainy season, and make sure that your products are lifted off the floor, but also just collect the wood and resell the wood without making anything of it. And the funny thing is that once you go down that rabbit hole, you will find endless uses of things that you can do with wood, with pellet wood, with driftwood, and things like that. Then the invrouw. The invrouw is a very beautiful example of our island. I call it the most unfriendly plant that we have growing here on the island. For the ones that have been introduced to it, once you walk with your leg into it, it just keeps going into your skin until it gets stuck, and then it falls off so it can grow somewhere else. But I know people here on the island that are using the invrouw to make juices, to make soap, and even to make shampoo out of it. So again, maybe this is not part of your business strategies, but just that should inspire you to show you what is possible with the things that you can do. Now, for the ones that have more of an office job and want to know better what they can do in the office to be more circular and save cost, and also rethink design of an office, I've been studying ergonomics, and ergonomics is a way on how to be more effective in your office, but also how you can use sustainability in there. And for that, I added the printer in there. As I already mentioned, we use cartridges with our printers that create tons of waste, but not just that, they're also very expensive. When you have to buy a cartridge every time again, and it's not necessary. For example, this printer is a eco tank printer that for some reason many people are still not familiar with, and which saves tons of money. I have the same printer. I have it for 3 years. I have not refilled it for the 3 years. I don't print much. I try to save as much as possible to not print. But when I do print, I have to print with a lot of ink. This ink is one, very cost effective, and second, once these bottles are empty, I can refill the bottles, and with that refill the eco tank with those bottles myself, without needing to spend a lot of money on cartridges. So this is a great example on how you can reduce your cost in your office as well. Also with paper, when you're using paper, of course, you can look at what kind of paper you use. Many paper nowadays is SFT certified, which means that they're made of special trees that are grown especially to create paper out of it. But you always try to reduce paper as much as possible. So these are all tips and tricks that you can use to become more circular. They can all help to reduce cost in your business. Um, Most of these things I have tried for myself or I worked with people that have tried them out. So if you have any questions about this, use that in the Q&A so we can discuss what will work for you or what has worked for you, and that we can discuss with each other. But first, let's take a look where you can also contribute to be more circular. Um, Everyone, or at least I hope everyone got a little bit of the information that happened last year when we had so much waterfall and what happened with Mango. When you think about that and think on how you can contribute with your daily practices or maybe weekly practices, how you can contribute to help not just what happened at Mango, but think about how that can affect the whole island, what you can do to create a more circular economy here on the island, but also how that can benefit your business. Um, or take a look at the article from Vigilante from a few years ago. 1.5 million kilo of food being dumped every year. There is a lot to be said for these kinds of businesses that can not just boost their business, but also other businesses here around on the island. So share your ideas in the chat, what you think you can do, but also how you can contribute to these businesses. And of course, the last one, the e-waste. As I already mentioned, not a lot is being done right now on the island. Many people that I have spoken to don't know exactly what they can do. So try this in your business as well. Create a collection point with your co-workers to see how much e-waste is there and how can we as a business contribute to this. I'm taking a look occasionally in the Q&A. I'm seeing if there are any questions. Let me know if there are any. Now, one of the last slides that we are already at, and that's the path to the circular economy that has led to the green loans and which can help you and your business as well. Because so many businesses see the challenges that we have on the island and they see what's going on with the landfill that is filling up, what's happening with the island heating up, what's happening with the water levels rising. Um, Banks also realize that they need to invest in more greener businesses. So use this in your advantage when you are changing your business strategy or starting a new business strategy. Think on how you can implement sustainability from the get-go. As I already said, it starts with the design of your business or in the business that you are creating. Green loans are really made for sustainable, environmentally friendly purposes. So once you add that to your business strategy, to your business plan, you can get a finance from the bank with a lower percentage or that has a better advantage for you. But what you do need to think about is that you also need to be able to demonstrate that in your business strategy, probably with a report or in your business plan. I'm not sure if they are in the chat, but I've asked several people to be part of the webinar to also give some advice on that. I'm not an expert in it, but I do know there is a lot going on right now on the island. So if they are in the chat, I hope we'll have a proper conversation about it. Now, as a closing statement, I want to add reducing waste is reducing money lost. It might require an additional investment, but you will also gain a return on investment. As I already given some examples in the presentation, because of Chicago installing the uh, the septic tanks from the beginning, they have reduced a lot of their cost and they were able to recover the water and reuse that several times to water the plants, to go back into the septic tanks and then to water the plants again. So that's one way of looking at it. My own example of using instead of using a printer with cartridges, but using a printer with refillable bottles, and in that way reduce the cost of my printing and be able to refill the bottles has not just helped me lower my cost, but also made my life easier because I don't have to go out every time to get the cartridges. So reducing that waste has saved me a lot of money and has saved me a lot of time, and saving a lot of time is saving a lot of money. That initial investment cost me a printer that costed at least $100 more, but I have earned that back at least twofold over the years. If you want to know more about these things, you can, of course, participate in more webinars. There's going to be several in this series on this platform. The next one is going to be the 27th of March, so write that down in your calendar. But there are several workshops that are being organized and several activities on the island that are being organized. So follow the Ministry of Economic Development on social media, the Kamer van Koophandel, Minagoshi, City, and Curaçao 2030 to get more information about these things. Another platform that you can follow to learn more about the many organizations that are making an effort of this is Club 17 Curaçao. So it is in our responsibility for us all to contribute to this, because once we work together, we can create a better system together. As you can see in most of my slides, I used one picture in the background, and that is one of my favorite pictures where I gave a presentation several years ago. And that is basically what we're doing with what we're doing is investing in our own community. We are producing more local when we are recycling, um, when we are redesigning our business to work more in a circular manner. Buying more local will help also to educate more people local, but it also helps us to understand better what's happening on the island, how we can communicate with each other better, and how we can use certain techniques better to create a better circular economy, but also how we can create a better environment for us all to live and work in. Well, that was the end of my presentation. I'm gonna stop sharing and take a look at the Q&A if there are any questions.